This is a video on how to install Apache Cloudstack 4.18 on Ubuntu 22.04 LTS. Our Ubuntu will act as management server and as a host for the cloud. This is our server specifications and its network setup. We will use SSH to configure the server. We start by configuring the network interfaces on our server via netplan. This is what our netplan looks like, and we will just copy it into the netplan directory. We can confirm our configuration with netplan get, make sure that it's correct, and then netplan apply. Next, we want to install some useful tools for our server. We can go ahead and update and also upgrade our server. I had it flipped here. It should have been the other way around. And then we can install any tools that this GitHub section says. In this particular server, in this video, it already has all the things that it needs. Won't see any download here. Next, we will install some other packages and change the password of our root user to something else. And we will also permit root login from SSH. Here we can go ahead and install the packages that we need. If you haven't had the package installed yet, you will be prompted to download. In this scenario, we can type Y and enter to download. Before we continue, it might be wise to check our clock in our server to see if it's correct or not. We can use the NTP service that are provided by OpenNTP that we installed before. We are actually not familiar with OpenNTP, so we use the timesync service in our server. As to how to do that, we can go to the configuration file and uncomment the lines like shown. Save the file, and don't forget to set NTP to true. We are going back to previous screen. If you are running Intel processor, you might want to install this package. This server also runs on Intel processor. It has been installed on the server, so we ended up not running the command. Next up, we want to change the root password. You can pick anything that you like for the password. In this particular example, we will use this. Bear in mind that there will be no character coming out as you enter along the password, but it will be recorded. For the next step, please refer to our GitHub page and copy the line below the enable SSH root login section and run the command on the server. To double check, we can open the target file and see if it has been modified. Then restart the service. We are actually using SSH now, so we don't restart to avoid the risk of connection loss. From this point onward, it might be best to migrate to a different laptop and connect to the server via SSH. We are going to continue by installing Cloudstack Management and MySQL Server. We can refer to the GitHub page and copy every command line by line. As to what every command does, the description is on the GitHub page. At this moment, I tried to update the server, but I did not realize that I was disconnected from my internet, hence why the output are like that. I will be reconnecting in a few seconds, and then we will update again. Now we run an update, and the server will obtain the repositories where Cloudstack can be downloaded from. Now, the output of the update command might not be the same as this, but as long as we can install the Cloudstack package, we are fine. Now we can install Cloudstack Management and MySQL Server. Please take note that downloading Cloudstack Management will take a longer time than normal. It has been already installed here, so no download occurs. Next thing to do is to deploy our database. First, we will prepare our MySQL database by accessing the configuration file of MySQL in the server. After that, we can just copy and paste from GitHub page into this configuration file. After that, go ahead and restart the MySQL service. Next, we will deploy our database by executing this command. Please remember that you need to change the address to your management server's address. To the next step, we will configure our NFS server. This one is pretty straightforward. Let's just follow the GitHub page. In this part, we will have to echo a line into a file. But since I've already done that, I'll just go ahead and check if I have already done that. And as we will see here, the line exists. That means we have done it. Now we are going to make two directories, export primary and export secondary. We can check our work by typing this command. After the directory has been created, execute this command. Just like before, we have to enter these commands line by line. After you have done that, you might want to check each and every file that we have touched in this process. Now, go ahead and restart the NFS kernel server. Now we enter the next section to configure Cloudstack host with KVM. Start by installing KMU KVM and the Cloudstack agent. It already has been installed in the server. Just like before, there will be no download occurring. This one too will take a lot of time. Now I'm going to take a quick peek into the file that we are going to edit to see if the server is already been configured. We are going to search for this term. First line below the change some line section. We can see that it has been filled. If it's not, enter the command or type it manually. That method is for your Ubuntu if it's below the 22.04 LTS. Otherwise, use this command instead. We can see that it has already been done. And we'll do the same for the next 5 commands. In this next file, since the command is to echo, we are going to go to the last line of the file. We can see here that it's empty. So we can go ahead and execute the 5 echo commands. Now we are going to check the file again. And we can see that the lines have been added into the file. And for the last step in this section, we can paste the command and after that restart the libvirt process. Next up, we are going to configure Docker support and other services and also generate a universally unique identifier. First, we enter the echo command. This is the first and a slight change in the second. We can see its effect by opening the target file. To confirm our configuration, use this command. Now we will install UUID and generate one. We can see here that the execution order of the commands were wrong. The consequence of that mistake can be seen here, where the UUID was empty. We can go back and generate the ID and then execute the echo command again. You will see that our generated ID will be added to the file, and we can remove the empty one. After that, restart the service. Now we are going to configure firewall using IP tables. First, we will save our network address to a variable with the name network. After that, enter these commands line by line. Then we can confirm our configurations by opening this file. After that, go ahead and install iptables persistent. Continuing the GitHub page, we will create some symbolic links. Pay attention to the screen. It says failed to create symbolic links. That's because the symbolic links already exist. If you do it for the first time, this output will not appear. The next two commands will be used to remove AppArmor profiles. Pay attention to the screen again. The output says unable to remove. That's because I've already removed the profile. Next, prepare your web browser because we are going to access our management server's dashboard. Enter your server's IP address and the port number, which is 8080. Then go ahead and log in. The default credential should be admin and password. After that, select continue with installation. We can change our password here. And now we will follow along the video. In here, just click next twice. Then you can name the zone whatever you like. In ours, it will be new zone. Then we will use Google's DNS in this, and our management server's gateway in this. Next, please change the hypervisor to KVM, and then click next. Next, we will reserve some IP addresses where public traffic may access. In this example, we will use addresses from 201 to 210. Next, we will configure the ports. We will name it new port. We will use the same gateway. And the reserved IP starts from 211 to 220. On the VLAN range in this example, we will use 3300 to 3399. Next, we will configure our cluster. Enter the name, and here insert the management server's IP address. For the username and password, use the root login credentials. Next, we will configure the storage. First is our primary storage. Choose the scope to zone and the protocol to NFS. Insert our management server's address that we have configured before. For the secondary storage, choose the provider to NFS. Name our secondary storage. Insert our management server's IP address. And write the path to secondary folder. After that, go ahead and launch the zone. It will take some time, so the video will be fast forward. You can see now that it has finished, and then we can launch the zone. This is how our dashboard will look like after launching the zone. Next, we can register an ISO file that our virtual machines could use. Go ahead and click register ISO. For the URL, please copy the link where the ISO file can be downloaded, and then paste the link to the URL box. Fill the name and also the description. Choose the zone, and then choose the type of the operating system, and then click OK. After we register our ISO, it will download the ISO automatically. You can see it here. Keep refreshing the page to update the download status. If it's done, the ISO will be automatically installed. When it's finished, it will look like this. And that is how you install Cloudstack on a server that acts as a management server and also as a host. If you want to install an additional host by using more devices or machines, refer to the GitHub page and follow the instructions. Basically, it will repeat some of the things that we have done earlier. Now, as a bonus, we will show you that we can manage our instances in our cloud with CLI commands. We should start by installing CloudMonkey on our management server, and then we will show you how to create an instance. Right now on the screen, we have installed our CloudMonkey. We start by acquiring the list of users in our cloud with this command, and then navigate to the account section on our cloud's dashboard. Follow along the actions that are being taken on the screen right now until you arrive on this page. Click on the Generate Keys button and we will get our API key and secret key. List our users again, and we can see that we have the API key now. Next, we will copy both keys and set it into our CloudMonkey so that every action that are being executed with CloudMonkey will be considered as actions done by our admin account. After that, enter the following command. Make sure that you use your management server's IP address when executing this command, and then we synchronize our configuration. Next, we will query some lists. The first will be service offerings. The second one are the zones. And next are the templates. Now we are going to start to deploy our virtual machine. For each parameter, copy and paste the IDs. The first parameter, set the argument to service offering ID. For example, this is the small instance option and the ID is here. So we copy that and paste it into our command. Next parameter is the template ID. Go ahead and grab the ID of the template and then paste it into our command again. And then next is the zone ID. The next parameter is start VM. Let's set it to false. And then default NIC, which we also set to false. After executing the command, it will output the description of our newly created instance. Navigate to the instance page, and you can see here that our instance has been created. It has the same name as the output of our deploy command. We can start and stop our instance by using its ID. This is our new instance ID. Copy and pass it as an argument. After the execution of this command, go back to the dashboard and we will see that our instance is starting. The same goes for topping our instance. This is the end of our video. We hope it's useful for you. Thank you and good luck.